Now, there's a bill making its way through the House addressing a big controversy in Washington. On executive authority, it would require the president to enforce laws passed by Congress, signed into law, but the White House already saying President Obama, he'd veto this bill if it ever arrived on his desk. What does Republican Senator Rand Paul think about that? Fresh off a CPAC win, sir, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for having me.
You back this bill on the Senate side. Congress has the legal authority to sue the president. Why is this even an issue?
Well, you know, the number one question I get when I go home or when I'm out traveling around the country is, how can the president amend legislation? How can he do this without the permission of Congress? Because he seems to be writing his own laws whenever he feels like it. The problem is we can't sue him because we don't have standing in court. So the legislation that I've introduced in the Senate would actually give us standing so we could sue and say, hey, this is unconstitutional. Because right now, if we go to court against the president, they throw the case out. So we do need standing. He also does need to enforce the law. We write laws, and he's just deciding willy-nilly. If he likes it, he enforces it. If he doesn't, he won't enforce it. And we really think he needs to be chastened, rebuked, and told that he needs to obey the Constitution.
What the White House would argue is that that's executive privilege. That you have to amend amend laws, as they progress to make sure that the laws work. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's a proper understanding of the Constitution. Really, Madison wrote that if we were to allow the president to write legislation or amend legislation, that would be a form of tyranny. So, no, that's not what our founding fathers intended by this. The executive is supposed to dutifully enforce the laws, and he's not supposed to cherry pick which laws he likes and which he doesn't. So I think if this can eventually make it into court, we'll win. But part of the question is, how do we get this into court?
Wow, interesting. Okay, two other issues I want to get to quickly. This Republican victory in Florida. You worked on behalf of David Jolly. He beat his Democratic challenger in this win just the other night. Here's what he said right after that victory. Quickly, watch.
So yes, Obamacare was an issue. The voters made it an issue. But at the end of the day, Obamacare just represents a view of government that is put forward by this president, and I think many people reject.
He thinks it's a much bigger message than just Obamacare. What does his victory tell you?
Well, I think he's right, because Obamacare is not just about health care. It's about freedom of choice. The president's telling you you're too stupid to decide which doctor you want or which insurance plan you want. Even though he dishonestly said you could keep the doctor you wanted, apparently that's not true. And so it's a matter of trust, which is bigger than Obamacare, and it's a matter of freedom of choice versus coercion. His conception of health care is that he tells you what kind of health care you can get because you're not smart enough to make your choices. So it is a big issue, but it goes beyond health care to freedom of choice.
Well, what Jolly said was his message to the party was don't take a mandate out of this victory. And he also went on to say that substance matters. So the rest of the party and the rest of the candidates, even folks like yourself, you have to come up with solutions. What do you think of that message?
No, I couldn't agree more, and I've been one of those as a physician who's been leading the charge to say, here's what we would do to replace Obamacare, here's what we would institute. For me, it's competition, choice, lower premiums, and expanded health savings accounts to allow people to afford their health care. We got the opposite. They called it the Affordable Care Act, but Obamacare turned out to be anything but affordable. It turned out to be that it's much more expensive, particularly for young people. If Republicans were in charge, we'd do the opposite.
Speaking of young people at CPAC over the weekend, your victory was overwhelming. You clocked in at 31%. I mean, you beat Ted Cruz by 20 points and Dr. Ben Carson by 22 and Governor Christie by 23 points. That's at 31%. I mean, what does that victory tell you?
CPAC's an exciting conference. It probably has more young conservatives and libertarians than any other conference in the United States. And I think what it tells you is that young people live in a digital age. They don't want the government looking at what books they read or what magazines they read or at their phone records without a warrant, without suspicion. So young people believe in privacy, and the president's gone astray on this. I think the young people, instead of voting Democrat next time, may well come to the Republican side because we're going to be the party that defends privacy.
Now, that's interesting now. Okay, so how do young independents feel? How do young Democratic voters feel? Are they in line with people at CPAC that you came in contact with when it comes to privacy, when it comes to the topic of the NSA that you so love to speak about?
We're going to find out, Bill. I'm going to be at Berkeley on Tuesday. Berkeley's not exactly a bastion of conservatism, and we're going to be there, and we're going to take them the message of privacy and let them know that, look, there are Republicans who are libertarian-leaning who do believe in protecting privacy, and I think the message will be well received there, but we'll find out on Tuesday.
So right now you don't have any idea. Is that what you're saying? You're just kind of feeling that out?
No. My perception of young people from having 3 kids who are on their cell phone all the time is that they don't think it's any of the government's business what they're doing on their cell phone. I think that's what we'll find, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Libertarian, or Independent. I think young people overwhelmingly are opposed to the president's surveillance program.
Fascinating topic. Senator, thank you. We'll speak again. Rand Paul in Washington. Thank you.